Let's take an early look at the third Saturday in October. This one, man, rivalry kind of atmosphere. We love rivalries above all else on this show. We love all games, but rivalry games just got a little extra juice to them. We're going to take a quick look at this game, but we're going to give you our prediction on this game tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so that's Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. The hard count will be live on the On3 YouTube channel. Make sure you're dialed in so you get our pick for this game. Also, follow me on Instagram and follow me on Twitter at JD Piquel. I'll also shoot you a link there when we go live. We'll have snippets from the show on there. A lot of content we do there we don't do here, so make sure you're dialed in there as well. But first and foremost, make sure you're subscribed so you can be tuned into the live show tomorrow morning. When it comes to this game, Alabama remembers everything that happened last year. They felt like they had a chance at the end there. They were pushing Tennessee. Doesn't end up happening that way. At the very end, they hit a field goal to storm Neyland. They throw the goalpost in the river. Like, every single individual that was involved in last year's game for Alabama, that is burned in their mind. They've been waiting 365 days to get back to this game, to take back what they feel like is theirs. So Alabama expect an edge, expect an attitude, expect a little bit of extra emotion in this game. All rivalry games have that extra emotional factor, but for Bama, man, with the way that last year went, they want to get back, like I said, what they believe is rightfully theirs. Now for Tennessee, if you beat Nick Saban for the second year in a row, if you're Josh Heupel, think about just the flag plant that would be for the trajectory of the Tennessee program, and think about what that would mean for what he's already done at Tennessee to this point. Like Josh Heupel at that point, if he doesn't already have the key to the city, he should get like a couple of extra keys to the city if he beats Nick Saban twice. Would be a tremendous statement for what he's done and where they're headed. Now, what's it going to take? Like I said, we'll give you our pick tomorrow, but I think some things that I'm watching, man, like how much does Tennessee get from Joe Milton in this game? Because I think the name of the game has to be efficiency. It doesn't have to be a ton of deep shots downfield. It doesn't have to be throwing for 300, 400 yards. It needs to be efficiency. To this point in the year, Joe Milton feels like maybe he's still getting his footing. He's yet to throw over 60% more than once in SEC play in terms of completion percentage. So what happens if Alabama takes away the run game? If Alabama just loads the box and says, Joe Milton, you got to beat us. Is he, one, able to do that? Or two, even to kind of dial it back a little bit, is he able to just kind of keep them honest and soften up that box and say, okay, we can't put 7 or 8 in the box. We got to play a little bit more loose on the outside there because Joe Milton is just taking us to school in the quick game and he's hitting a couple deep shots to Squirrel White, whoever it ends up being. We'll talk more about the receiving core here in just a second, but I think Joe Milton has to be efficient. And if Alabama can force him to be inefficient, well, then you give your offense some more ammunition. You give your offense a little bit more of a runway to work with here. And that kind of falls into the next question I have and next thing I'm watching in this game when it comes to our early look at this thing. How balanced is Alabama able to be? Because everything we just said about Joe Milton, how he's got to be efficient, the same thing has to be true for Jalen Milroe. And a big part of that for Jalen Milroe is the balance Alabama could potentially have offensively. Now, the Texas A&M game probably gives you a little bit more of a confident feeling if you're an Alabama fan because they didn't run the ball well that day against A&M and Jalen Milroe still threw the ball all around the yard. And in this game, I think, with what Tennessee brings to the table, you will need to be able to have something in the run game. Like Tennessee, they're averaging 3.1 yards a carry. Alabama ran for 177 yards last week against Arkansas. You want to run the football if you're Bama. I don't think this is a situation where you can just sit back and say, Jalen Milroe, go do what you did against A&M. You're happy he did that, but you don't want to rely on that, is what I'm trying to say. The more balanced and more multiple Bama can be offensively, the better chance they give them in this game. Same thing for Tennessee. If they can throw Alabama off balance and put the ball in Jalen Milroe's hands and say, Jalen Milroe, you got to beat us, they would like to live that way, is what I would imagine. Now, the battle between the Tennessee wide receivers and the Alabama secondary, I think is going to be a real good matchup to watch in this one. Texas really took advantage of that Alabama secondary in week 2, but I mean, we look at that snapshot and say, oh, Bama secondary must not be very good. Like, it's not what I'm seeing. Statistically, they're allowing less than 200 yards passing a game. Since that matchup, they've really stepped it up a bit. And they've played against good wide receiving cores. A&M, the most notable one. They've been solid since that game. But if you're Tennessee, you say, okay, that situation, that result where we take advantage of your secondary, that's on tape. We've seen that done. and we like who we have in-house. My question is for Tennessee, does somebody step up? We've talked a lot about Squirrel White. We've talked a lot about Dante Thornton, and I understand they haven't had 100% health in that position group itself, but like at some point in time, we got to be able to separate to help our quarterback out. We got to be able to make the big plays when they're there, because against Alabama, the margins will be very, very thin. There will not be 5 to 10 big plays available to you. There might be 2 or 3. Now, if you make 5 big plays, that's good on Josh Heupel, that's good on Joe Milton, that's good on this entire offense. But I'm just saying, against Alabama, you cannot miss when they give you a chance. Do you create more chances for Joe Milton? I will say this too. We talked about it in our breakdown after Tennessee won this past weekend against Texas A&M. I do think Joe Milton's job will be easier this week because of what Tennessee put on tape. Just my own assessment. A&M, really good run defense. Josh Heupel did a phenomenal job being able to schematically spread out Texas A&M, and they ran for over 200 yards. And so now Alabama has to give a little bit more of an eye to that run game. And if they don't, well, then I expect Tennessee to run the football like they did last week. Like, I feel that confident in the Tennessee run game. But again, if they can take away the run game, put it on Joe Milton, that's kind of the same story for both these teams. Take away the run game, put it on the quarterback, and make them beat you. Who executes the best? I can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see. Rivalry game, high stakes, major impact in SEC play for both these teams as they both control their own destiny right now. It's going to be a lot of fun. Third Saturday in October. We will give you our pick tomorrow, right here on the Hard Count on the other YouTube channel, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you're dialed in. We don't want you to miss a minute of what we got going on right here. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We will keep this party rolling. And we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.